Hey friends, it's John Klein III with episode 28 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. We're going to review Exiles 41, so let's get to it. And thanks again to Francisco for providing the theme song to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And we are going to review Exiles 41 that came out in March of 2004. So I had not yet met my wife at that point. We were still a couple months away. Cover is Nocturne on the cover, which makes sense as it's Nocturne's Tale, part 1 of 2. And this is issue 41, so we will do 42 next year, all things going right. This would have cost you $2.99 in the US and $4.25 in Canada. Inside cover ad is for Hellboy, coming out on March 2nd of 2004. And since this is a 2004 comic, we get a handy little recap page. Exiles, which is red text on black background, so that doesn't look great on old dad's eyes. They have become unhinged from time. They are heroes from a different realities who must travel together from one alternate reality to another, completing missions to repair broken links in the chain of time. They are the Exiles, and this is their tale. Stanley presents Exiles, a Nocturne's Tale, part 1 of 2. This is writer, penciler, and cover by Jim Calaflior. Inker, Eric Cannon. Colors, Transparency Digital. Letters, Dave Sharp. Assistant editors, Corey Sinemeyer and Stephanie Moore. Editor, Mike Martz. Editor-in-Chief, Joe Casada. And publisher, Dan Buckley. And then the previously is black text on a dark blue background, so we're not getting much better here. They are the Exiles, a team of mutants, all from alternate dimensions, fighting their way home by replacing the broken chains of time. In each new universe, they must successfully complete a mission before progressing. Their only help is a mysterious bracelet talisman known as the Talus, which provides information through sometimes oblique as to what they must rectify. Before the time broker tore her from her home world, before she was forced to jump from dimension to dimension, mending the broken chains of time, the young mutant Nocturne was a member of her reality's X-Men. Fighting next to her father Nightcrawler, Talia Josephine Wagner strove to fight for a new world shared by man and mutant alike. So this is going to her origins, which was showcased in X-Men Millennial 2000. Oh no, X-Men Visionaries 2000, I want to say. I guess a special shout out to excellent podcast, Simply Amazing, with Lisa and Lauren, who are big fans of Nocturne and inspired me to make my podcast that focuses on Cape Pride, Lockheed, and Magic. And let's get to it. The rest of the comic is much easier to read. We have another ad for the Hulk, the Ang Lee version. Nocturne. And Nocturne's narrating. Where was I? Oh, right. Yeah, a lot changed around that time. I mean, big on the change scale. And it happened all at once. I can tell you when it started. Exactly when it started. Part 1. And we see Nocturne, Thunderbird, Kitty Pryde in a fun, mostly blue costume. It's pretty much like her Excalibur costume, but it has a yellow collar and yellow gloves. And a blue, slightly bigger domino mask. A Phoenix, who we'll learn is in a Colossus shell. Nightcrawler himself, who's older with an eye patch and a white goatee. and a mysterious character who's also Apocalypse's son, but we'll get there. It was Tuesday. Apocalypse was at it again. We could set our watches by him. He had demolished a couple of buildings downtown and set up one of his big machines. He called it his chrono disruptor, something like that. How it was going to help him take over the world beats me, but it was the same old, same old. Conquering the world, him. Saving the world, us. Fortunately, Apocalypse's son, Armageddon, yeah, well, what do you expect from a guy named Apocalypse, had decided to switch to the us side. And with Phoenix trapped in the power dampener, Proxy had come up with, we needed some extra muscle. I mean, Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, Nocturne, and Thunderbird, not the most striking fear into the hearts of the enemy kind of lineup, you know? And the Phoenix is in that dampener. Kurt's saying, TJ, no! Because, oh man, I just was saying her name. If TJ is Josephine, but what's her first name? Oh, Talia. How could I forget? My favorite Batman lady friend. I like Catwoman plenty, but I don't know. Something about Ra's al Ghul and then the daughter and then Batman and then Damian. Talia. Easy to remember. And Kurt's... Oh, yeah, and TJ's in a very Nightcrawler styled outfit. Actually, it just pretty much looks like his classic one. She has a tail in this scene. Should keep... We'll be on tail watch the whole match or comic. And Kurt looks like he's wearing like a late Excalibur outfit with like when he had the red half cloak on with the X buckle. And Apocalypse is shouting at Armageddon, being very mad that he switched sides. And it looks like he's beating Armageddon pretty well. And then TJ's bouncing around saying, excuse me, Proxy, pardon me, coming through. And he's like, nuisance. And he hits her, like flying her away. And Thunderbird's all mad and like jumps at Apocalypse. You know, fight. And Kurt's yelling at TJ for not being, being a team player, and that they have to be working as a team. Efforts must be coordinated. And she's just like, okay, Dad, or it could cost you your life. All right, Dad. I know, Dad. And then he bounced away, and Kitty says, it was a pretty somersault, though, honey. Ah, thanks, Aunt Kate. So I should be calling her Kate. My Aunt Kate Pride always knew the right thing to say. And then you hear... Oh, I don't know why, but Kate's talking in like telepathic thought bubbles. Oh, no. I think it's the leader of the team. Hate to interrupt this bonding, but we've got work to do, people. First things first. Everyone else keep Apocalypse busy while Kate takes out his machine. And so we see Kate going into like a green bubble around the chrono disruptor. She gets in with great strain. Apocalypse is just like winning. Phoenix finally gets the dampener off. TJ narrates. Since it had returned, the Dark Phoenix kind of did whatever it wanted, even if it had a TK chip in its head to talk with the boss like the rest of us. That wouldn't have stopped it. What? Oh, right. The Phoenix had set up house in the empty shell of Colossus. See, Colossus had sacrificed himself to save his sister when her realm, Limbo, boy, what a soap opera we live in, right? And we get a cool panel of Limbo with like a heat source in the middle, a lot of like maybe a lady up top with like a mountain above her maybe, and Colossus is about to be like crushed by it. Or it could be Ileana like losing herself. I don't know. It's a lady form for sure. Big explosion. Everyone's checking on each other. They can't find Kate, and she's not phasing through the ground at all. And so they move a bunch of rubble. And we see not Kate Pride, but young Kitty Pride in classic gold and black uniform. But this one's black at the sleeves and legs, but the shirt is all yellow. The briefs are all yellow, yellow belt, and the red X, or red buckle with the black X. So not bad. Black mask, face mask. And so they're all just concerned. We see the psychic projection of Wolverine, who's like Professor W in this timeline. And he's saying Apocalypse is gone and all of his shields are down. The cops will be showing up soon. Pick up Kate and let's get out of here. And we see an ad for MK0404, Who's Next? Which I had to look up because I was like, what is this? I figured MK was Marvel Knights, but this is promoting the new Mark Miller, Terry Dodson. So, of course, Rachel Dodson. Spider-Man title that I thought was pretty cool. It was pretty much like Batman Hush, but with Spider-Man, like a bunch of his enemies. Green Goblin was behind the plot. Spoilers for a almost 19-year-old comic. And then the other 4 titles were Wolverine, Hulk, and I knew I wasn't going to remember this one. Okay, so thanks to Paul O'Brien with the 9thart.org, who wrote an article, Article 10, Return to Old Marvel. And it's 3 other titles, Ecstatics, Incredible Hulk, and Wolverine, which apparently were just being thrown under the MK umbrella at this point. Wolverine's finishing out the arc by Greg Rucka before he jumps to DC. And that was that. So thank you. So I may have read those Wolverine, and like the logos are coming to my mind, but I don't know. I think at this point I was pretty much reading a bunch of comics. Yeah. While Dad and Uncle Logan were in strategy mode, and we see that Kurt and Wolverine are scanning the room for any signs of Apocalypse, but they can't find him. And then they turn their attention to young Kitty Pryde and how it doesn't make any sense that she's here. Kurt asking the obvious questions. Ja, Kachin, Ak, how long has it been since I called her that? Kachin says she has just arrived at the school 3 weeks maybe. Oof, what is this? It's not a German accent. But what if it's just a matter of simple time displacement? Where's our Kate? Why isn't she here now, older? And why do we have no memory of her appearing 25 years ago and Kitty disappearing? If she is alive, Kate might not be just in a different time period, but a different reality altogether. Sense right, but best have Mariah turn a full set of tests. Let's find out if she is our Kitty, and if not, Ja, I know. Let's see here. There's a quarter Marvel House ad for Salvador Lacora debuts. The new regular artist kicks off a new story arc, Uncanny X-Men 437 and 438. Oh, and then we see that Thor and Scarlet Witch have returned. They are triumphant in fighting a case, and Kurt's very proud of her because Talia Josephine Wagner, TJ, is not just the daughter of Nightcrawler, but also the Avengers Scarlet Witch, which is fun. And the newscaster, who was named in the previous page, so I gotta turn back to it. I thought she was named. She's with Channel 4 News, so that's fun. But she was explaining about, just in our exclusive 4 Flash, you are looking at amateur video shot early this morning following an FBI raid on a warehouse in Jersey City. Details are sketchy, but you can clearly see the former X-Men known as Cyclops leading a group of yet unidentified mutants in a daring escape. Although officials have no further comment at this time, one can't help but wonder if this signals this emergence of a new brotherhood of evil mutants. Now over to Park Firmly and Sports. Oh yeah, and then they say thanks, Patsy, and that's what gave me the idea that we heard. So it's Cyclops leading a team of Blob, grayish fellow and a balding fellow. And instead of an X on his 90s X-Men costume, it's an M. And Wolverine and Kurt are not happy about the negative attention this is bringing to them. Meanwhile, I was giving Kitty the grand tour. And so Kitty and TJ are talking. So Wolverine killed Professor Xavier? Yep. And and got almost paralyzed by it? Yep. But it wasn't Wolverine's fault? Nope. Because he was being mind controlled by the Shadow King? Yep. And he is Egyptian. Fat, fezzy, serious old nemesis syndrome. And everyone forgave Wolverine except Cyclops? Yep. Who left after Jean Grey died? Yep. And now Wolverine runs the school? Yep. Mostly out of guilt, I think. Uncle Logan never forgave himself. He's so somber now, grim. You mean as opposed to the happy-go-lucky, laugh-a-minute champion of optimism Wolverine? Yeah, okay, but he's different now, sadder. And we see this glowing skeleton trying to show TJ of cool model Blackbird he has developed. And he's in a glass cage, like if you're a WWE fan, the Elimination Chamber, he looks like in one of those chambers. With like a grid floor that looks uncomfortable on a bony foot. A small bed, a small table, a chair, and a bookshelf. And she's complimenting him on the Blackbird. And Kitty doesn't know what to do about it. Moira agrees to run some tests. Aunt Moira was a brilliant scientist, but she had tunnel vision, super focused, but only on one thing at a time. She hadn't been able to help Lucien for a while. Her mind had moved on to the next problem. When that happened, the last problem got kind of forgotten. Poor Lucien. And Moira said all the right things to Kitty, kept her hope up, promised we would get her back to her time somehow. Too bad, really. She didn't know how empty her promises were. Kitty didn't go home, and I never saw Aunt Kate again. And boy, at least not before I left. I didn't know how long Armageddon stood there in the middle of the room, but Dad said that's how he found him. Dad said he wished he'd thought more about Giddy's temporary quarters. I would have thought more about the bed. Compared to Armageddon, it was tiny. No way he could lie down on it. If he was feeling out of place before, symbolism with a sledgehammer or what? And then Kirk talks to Armageddon, saying he can stay there because he earned his place on the team like everyone has to. And then after the test, TJ and Kitty are walking about. I never saw anything like Lucien. He used to be a normal kid. And then I guess he saved us all. He used to take away people's pain, their injuries, diseases, defects, and absorb them into himself. And then he could, purge it from his system. So losing Cerebro and a bunch of telepaths, he absorbed the legacy virus from the whole world. Only he couldn't get rid of it. And now he looks like that. It's driving him crazy, and his room isn't helping. Oh, wow. Oh. Then we see Thunderbird has come out of the shower wearing the tiniest of towels and drying his hands with his other hand and holding the other towel with his with all of his might. Evening, ladies. Don't mean to scare you. My shower's out. Figure I use the dorm locker room. How you doing, Kitty? Adjusting? James. We weren't dating then, but I had just had the biggest crush. He was scary too. He could get so angry so quickly, lots of rage, but maybe that was one of the attractions, the danger. Had nothing to do with the deep brown eyes and the washboard abs. Boy, I acted like such a girl around him then. And then she will, of course, date a fellow exile variant of Thunderbird, James Proudstar, to use a modern MCU term. I'm fine. TJ's been showing me around. My choice for a guide. Well, have fun, ladies. Wow, he is cute. Kitty. And look at his butt. Kitty. Oh, like you haven't looked at his butt. No. Never? No. No? No. Come on. Like, she's looked at his butt. And then we get a fun room where they walk by where all the younger members are. There's a warlock. There's a green gimp of a goblin. Sunfire, I suspect. A lady shooting a pink ray at him. Iceman's around. Some lady in the middle of the room. Two people with like flame powers, maybe? I don't know. They don't get name checked at all. But TJ says that they've been young students here as long as I can remember. A couple of them are almost ready to join the field team. Well, here's your room, homie yet ugly. If I were an adult, I'll say you need to get your rest. And then there's a page ad that top half is for Grind, now on DVD. And the bottom half is a house ad for Pulse by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Badgley. Marvel heroes fight a new menace. The Press from the Ultimate Spider-Man creative team debuts February 2004. Pretty good series. So I'll see you in the morning. Promise? And then like TJ just gives her a look and then smiles. I promise. TJ, I want to go home. And then like Kitty just cries into TJ's shoulder. It's a very touching scene. And then we get the origin story of Wolverine done in 6 panels, all on one page with it's silent. Wolverine coming at Xavier in a wheelchair. Wolverine just foaming at the mouth. Xavier screaming at him. We see Shadow King is controlling Wolverine. Xavier mind blasts Wolverine and collapses, and then Wolverine collapses on Xavier, which I can only imagine kills him, as Wolverine's like, 800 pounds easily? And then he wakes up. Get out. And we see Phoenix, Colossus Phoenix, I guess, but not AVX, not Phoenix 5 Colossus. Just a Phoenix Force. Odd. It is the only void I have, no longer sharing a conscious human host. These dreams you experience suck such emotions, stronger sometimes than the waking hours. And yours are so very strong, I'm drawn to it. Get out. You know that I can repair you, make you physically whole again. I can see the knowledge in your mind. And yet you refuse to ask me it of me. Why? What does your penance end? Get out. We didn't see the Phoenix for a while after that night. But when we did see her again, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, the next morning, Dad had me running a danger room routine, and I was having fun. Too much fun. And we see she's taking out a machine, and then one of the machine's cords wrap around her hands and flings her across the room. It has like a wicked tail, and she uses the sharp tail to cut through the chains holding her down. So then she flips about. She has no tail here. I want to say she hasn't had a tail for a while. And then Kurt just yells at her, "In program, Talia Josephine." And here it came again. Why can't I not get you to understand the seriousness of this? This is deadly serious, even here. This is for your own good. Why can't you just listen to me? Why can't you not follow my instructions? And as an old dad myself, your kid not listening to you is like number one pet peeve. Well, maybe number 2 pet peeve, of number 1 being lazy bones. But you gotta tell yourself the kid's only 9. Let him live his life. Come on. He doesn't need to be like me, where at 9 I started being like a responsible white family member, trying to do chores when I recognized how hard my mom had it, and was just like, let me start helping her out. Like, someone needs to be able to do chores around here and help my sister and everything. So if I can keep him being carefree until 10, then I think I've done my part, done my job. And then TJ just yells at him like, because I'm not you. I'll never be you, so stop trying to make me you. You're not going to change me by constantly yelling and lecturing and reprimanding. It just hurts. When do I get to be me? Which is a good wake-up call. Like, yeah, I need to be... I too. But it's also hard being a parent too, because it's just like... the traits you don't like, you see in your own kid, and you start like, well, let me stomp these traits out because it's no life for you. Where it's like, no, like you let the kid be him. I don't know. There's also a part of me that's where I don't know, like I have a dumb thought in my head, like, oh, like he's not gonna be ready for the real world, like, you know, like these are traits an employer won't appreciate. Where I'm like, yeah, he's also 9. He doesn't have an employer. Like, come on, like be cool. And then Talia is just walking out. She's gotten out of her uniform, so she's back to wearing her brown pants and brown tube top look, which I don't know, I guess with all blue skin and blue hair, maybe brown's an okay color. I don't know. It's just not great because the background is also a brown door, so it sort of blends together. TJ, where are you going? Kitty like shouts and out. Can I come? Anyway, she looks at her sternly and then she goes, sure, with a smile. And Kurt's talking to Logan. He's like, and then she left. Like, I've never seen her like that. She was so angry, Logan. I don't know. Perhaps she's right, my friend. I'm only been trying to prepare her, to teach her the necessary skills to survive in our world, but have I been too demanding on her, too harsh? Yep. She's your kid, Elf. You raised her as you see fit, but if you're going to ask me, I'm not going to lie to you. You've been pushing her too hard without noticing she's only been trying to please you. I mean, come on, she's even wearing your old costume. Looks a lot better on her, too. Jaw, butt. And then kaboom! And turn the page for final page reveal. I'm home, says Cyclops. Which now I'm seeing he has a Age of Apocalypse side visor on as well. I guess to protect his ears. Next, things get worse. And we see maybe it's Caliban I saw earlier. Blob. Yeah, I don't recognize the guy of Hulk Hogan hair, but red. Looks like a Super Skrull, but it's a woman with like Rogue. Oh, it's Rogue. With a very, brown hair, white streak, classic Rogue with Thing arms. And, she must have absorbed the powers of Reed Richards because she's stretching, but also Lyra from the Skrull because her skin's green. And then maybe a radioactive dude in the back, or Drax. I don't know. And then inside back cover ad is for Daredevil, the video game, a game I still think about 19 years later, like how awesome a Daredevil game would be. Sort of like The Last of Us with Joel's zombie vision or whatever that is, where I'm like, yeah, that would be a perfect Daredevil mechanic. And the back cover ad is for Reward Yourself with Postopia. It says cereal ad. Waffle Crisp, which I don't recognize. Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles, which I'm all about Fruity Pebbles. Golden Crisp, Alpha Bits, Honeycomb, which I haven't had honeycomb in forever. Oreo O's and strawberry flavored honeycomb. What? And that, everyone, was Exiles 41. So thank you so much for joining me. If you would like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen, and then also give us a review where it helps with bringing attention to the blog as we try to grow. You can follow the podcast, but you can follow the blog at shadowandflameofmagic.com. You can follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Jackal SII. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at SNFWM and spelled out, as well as on Instagram. There was no Lockheed here, but I should take a picture for the Twitter post. And next episode, I'm planning a fun thing, so please join us. And you'll get to hear me talk next time. All right, everyone, bye.